Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. Why is there so much hype about the full self-driving cars? Well, first of all, the one who first gets to solve the real full self-driving, where the car can drive everywhere, is going to have the whole full self-driving industry to itself for a while, and that business is worth billions. But this will also change the world as we know it, and probably faster and in a bigger way that you think is even possible. So let's check out how this crazy future of the full self-driving transportation could look like and what that would mean for Tesla and you. And let's dive right in. So, if Tesla solved the full self-driving, this will make Tesla one of the most valuable companies in the world pretty much overnight. But this will also change the whole transportation industry as we know it. Because as we have seen many scientists point out, that when we will have a full self-driving future, the amount of cars we will need will drop about 80%. So one full self-driving car will replace about 5 normal cars. So instead of having to build 100 million cars a year, we only need about 20 million cars a year. Because as you may know, the average car is parked 95% of the time and only drives 5% of the time. But when we get to full self-driving cars, they can pretty much keep driving 90% of the time and only stop when they need to charge. And just think about what this will do to our climate as well. Not just going electric, but getting rid of 80 million cars a year. That is really going to matter, and many are talking about that it's going to take decades before we have all the batteries we need to go fully electric, to get to 100 million electric cars. But if we solve full self-driving, we only need 20 million. That changes things a bit, right? But another thing that's going to set Tesla apart here and is kind of making it a bit scary, because we don't want a monopoly on the autonomous future, but this could very well be where we are heading. Just think about it. Let's imagine that Tesla solve full self-driving and they will be allowed to drive without anyone behind the wheel before 2025. And let's say no one else has caught up and has real full self-driving system that can drive everywhere, even in 2030. And let's say Tesla actually get to their goal of making about 20 million EVs in 2030. And they are all gonna be self-driving. Well, then what Tesla produce in that year alone, 2030, will be enough vehicles to supply the whole world with full self-driving cars. Just mind-blowing. And if no one has caught up, they will all have to fight for the scraps that are left in the edge cases where people don't want full self-driving or it just doesn't work. Because most people are going to want this. Because this will probably change the way we see transportation, because Tesla will probably make some kind of subscription-based system where you don't need to buy the car. You just have maybe $100 or more subscription to a Tesla, and you can summon a car whenever you need it. Because that kind of service is probably going to be 10 times cheaper than owning the vehicle itself. So most people will not want to own the car and have all the problems with insurance, repairs, and so on, and pay 10 times more. Now suddenly everyone can afford a full self-driving car. It would be financially insane not to subscribe but own the vehicle. And the full self-driving car is also going to be maybe 100 times safer. So people can save money, but will also be 100 times more safe with this subscription to a full self-driving car than having a normal car themselves. So when this is going to happen, it will happen really fast. And remember, when we went from horses to cars, it only took about 10 years to get the majority to go over to cars instead of horses. And going to EVs will probably happen just as fast. But when full self-driving hits the road, with a subscription, it is going to take off like a rocket. So much more convenient, 10 times cheaper and 100 times safer. Why would you not do this? Well, because a car is a social status symbol. Yes, and it still can be. Because we will probably see more cars picking up more persons like a ride-sharing program, making these trips cheaper for everyone in the car. But you can book the whole car yourself if you like, and probably also choose what kind of Tesla you would like to be picked up in. And lastly, you can of course just buy your own full self-driving Tesla, so you never have to get into a car that has been used by a lot of other people. So status symbol will find its way, as it always does. And maybe in a totally new way we haven't even thought of yet. So even though we have a hard time seeing a future where we don't own the car but subscribe to a transportation service, it is pretty much what we saw with movies and music. Many people, including Steve Jobs, never thought that people would stream music because people wanted to own their music. And I don't know anyone who still owns music today. Do you? Or maybe just collectors. And for people that live in cities, it would be so much easier just to have a car ready for you when you need it, instead of having to think about parking and pay for that all the time as well. So people in the big cities are probably going to be the ones who move first to this new way of having a car. And remember that more than 55% of the global population live in urban areas. And that is only growing, and scientists believe that in 2050 almost 70% of humans will live in urban areas. So yeah, sure, there will be some edge cases for people who live way out in the mountains or in very remote areas that this will not work for. But it's a small percentage of the population, and it's only getting smaller. And Tesla is going to make as many full self-driving cars a year that the whole world needs. So it will probably not be very expensive for them to just put some cheap Model 2s out there in the countryside over the next couple of years to even fulfill the needs of these edge cases. So yes, full self-driving future will change the world as we know it. And I think that Tesla is going to be the first to bring it to us, because they got the data. No one else even comes close. You saw GM Cruise talk about their full self-driving taxi in San Francisco, but they only have about 2 million miles driven data on full self-driving in a mapped area. Waymo has about 30 million miles driven on full self-driving in a mapped area. And Tesla has about 3,500 million miles driven, or 3.5 billion miles driven on full self-driving. And Tesla is just adding to these miles faster and faster, with more and more cars coming on the road, and are increasing their very big gap even more. And why is this data so important? Well, it's because of the AI that is actually driving the car. And you may know, the more data an AI has, the more precise it will be doing its work. But that's pretty much how it works. Very, very simplified, of course. And for your car to drive itself, it needs to be very, very precise at what it does. But as we have seen with AI, they are quickly getting better at the task they are made for than a human. AlphaGo beats the world champion 5-1. The next computer, AlphaGo Zero, beats AlphaGo 100-0. And it is only getting the rules of the game and then learn to play the game against itself thousands of times, and got to superhuman levels in just days. And Tesla's full self-driving AI that is driving the car is just in its infancy. We are right now standing at the bottom of the S-curve. And I think this is something many people underestimate, because it has been taking so many years just to get to this level we are at now. But it will soon take off and become a true full self-driving system much faster than people think, because we are just at the tipping point to see the S-curve explode. So that's why I think Tesla is going to be very, very big in the future, and maybe too big, and almost have some kind of monopoly in the transportation sector, because this is going to be everything that Tesla makes, from the cheap Model 2 to the Cybertruck to the semi-truck to underground buses or whatever they're starting to make. Everything is going to be able to drive itself, and everything else is going to feel like owning a horse, like Elon did say. And if no other company is even going to get close before 2030, it's pretty much game over. Tesla has won the decade, and therefore the future of transportation, because I believe that battle is this decade, because the speed of this technology is about to take off. It is going to be one of the biggest disruptions we have ever seen, and make Tesla the most valuable company in the world almost overnight. It's going to happen so much faster than any other disruption we have ever seen, when Tesla is going to flip that switch. So just like the AI in the video from Venture City, you should definitely check out that one, I'll leave a link below, that was asked, how will Elon Musk take over the world? And the AI answered,
Elon will take over the world by the snap of his fingers.
Yeah, maybe with a snap of his finger or a flick of a switch, and the transportation world could belong to Tesla. This is of course a big moonshot video, but it is not like there is no chance for this to happen. I think there's a bigger chance for this to happen than for the other guys to catch up. But what do you think? Will Tesla be able to dominate the transportation sector in such a way? Or how do you see the outcome of this full self-driving future we are heading into? And when do you think it will happen? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more movies about full self-driving and AI, I will leave some link in the description below to, for example, Zach and Jesse from Now You Know, great serie about the autonomous future. They have 10 videos in total. You should definitely check them out. And the one I just quoted from, the Venture City's awesome video about AI, I will leave a link to that as well. And also a link to Coldfusion's amazing video about the new AI that is coming. And Coldfusion just has a lot of great videos. If you don't know this channel, you should definitely check it out. No, I'm not sponsored, I don't even know this guy, but he makes wonderful videos. Check all the videos and links out in the description below. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.